Gentlemen, welcome back to What the Duck, the Moonduck podcast that happens occasionally. This is episode number 35. It's February 29th, 2018. We have a special treat today. Only three of us. It's a Zyori Slacks Purge panel for this What the Duck. We did have Complexity's manager lined up to try to do an episode with us, but we had to reschedule, and that conflicted with his schedule. So that was kind of our plan for the fourth for this one, but we couldn't make it happen. So maybe future weeks we'll be able to go back down that rabbit hole. But boys, welcome back. How we feeling? Full of life and energy, I see.
Oh, is the show starting now? Hello.
Yes, this is officially the start, Slacks.
Okay, great. Hey, everybody.
Slacks is definitely not playing PUBG right now.
I'm done. I'm out. Look at my hands. I'm out.
Damn, you got a ring now?
Yeah. It's heavy. Check it out, dude. It's like obsidian. It weighs a lot. I think my wife put on me to remind me constantly of the weight of my life. You know, there's no escape now. I feel it all the time. You know how they put the slave collars on just enough to hurt a little bit, so that they never forget their place?
Is that what it's like? Have you considered just making the ring a little bit bigger?
No, I like it like that. Anyway. So what's up, boys? How you been? How's the last 27 days been, or however long we've done this show?
22. It's been good. I got to work a little gig, right? That's fun for me. I don't get to go to Southeast Asia so often. I know you fine gentlemen get to go very frequently, but it's always a treat for me to see that part of the world and all the intense Dota fans. It's a completely different Dota experience, dude. Everybody there is just so fucking into it. We don't have those kind of LAN cafe experiences in North America, so it's always a treat to get to see that side of the globe.
So what was that event like? It seemed like it had a lot of people that went to it. I didn't understand.
Yeah, so it was just a grand opening for this new LAN cafe, but it's kind of more than just a LAN cafe. They have 130 computers, but they also have streamer pods. They have like a stadium type setup. Well, it's a miniature stadium, but 2 booths that are soundproof with spots for 5 players and audience seating. They have like a little restaurant, and I don't know if it's a bar, but you can buy like Red Bulls and Monsters and water and that kind of stuff. So it's sort of like a gamer, what do they call it? Like a gamer club rather than like just another LAN cafe. The streamer pods were pretty tight. Like you can just walk into this mall, be like, all right, $5 an hour. You're going to sit down. You get 2 monitors. There's one of those big like Yeti microphones. There's a camera and everything. You're all set up to go. You just plug in your stream key and you're streaming away. So it was honestly a very unique venue. I've never seen anything like it, but it was really, really clear that the people that set the whole thing up and financed it were actual gamers. You know, like it was set up the way you would want a gamer lounge to be. They had a lot of private rooms. It's a big thing. They have a ton of like 5 computers in one room, so you can just show up with your mates, close the door, and then you're in the zone, not being bothered by the outside world, you know? It's pretty cool.
Sounds pretty cool.
They had Team Secret there. They had a lot of personalities from Southeast Asia. Zyclops was doing the camera work, and I was there to cast Dota 2 with Dana Lee. I figured out that finally. Her name is Danielle, but there's a little misspell. You call her Danny, right? Basically, it's Danielle with a misspelling. So anyway, I casted Dota with her, and then I got to cast PUBG with a Southeast Asian streamer that works for Razer, whose handle is Sombrero. That was pretty cool. He was pretty good, man. Sombrero. It was one of his first events, but he slayed it. So it was a pretty unique type thing. The PUBG, it was pistols, and then it was survival mode, which is personalities play, and they get to pick up guns, and the pubs that were at the event get to play and don't pick up weapons or anything at all. All they can get is healing and vehicles. Yeah, I know. It went about the way you would expect.
There was drove cars the whole time.
Yeah, and then they just tried to hide in a ravine. The end was one dude with an AK just slaughtering 6 unarmed people hiding in a gully. I mean, it was kind of fun to cast. You know, oh, here he comes. They're all disarmed, and he's gonna mow them down. You know, it was kind of hype in a weird kind of way, but
Jesus,
it was a lot of fun. It was really a lot of fun. Really cool.
Oh my!
They took great care of me too, you know. And so one of the other cool things, it's the first time I've ever heard of this, but if you buy a monthly membership, like you're one of the regulars, a portion of all of the money they make off of that goes into this fund for prize pools for local tournaments. So it's kind of like the more you play there,
well, that's nice.
The more you're contributing to this, you know, kind of community. And there, you know, there's 130 PCs in there, so it's set up to have some pretty legit, you know, PUBG or Dota 2 action. Those seem to be the 2 games that they're really pushing. So anyway,
that's cool.
pretty badass. If you're in Malaysia, if you're in Kuala Lumpur, you should check it. It's called Battle Arena Malaysia. If you're
Whoa, you were just in Kuala Lumpur? I didn't know that. I didn't know that you were that close.
Yeah, it was right on the outskirts.
Down the street.
Yeah,
Holy
well, that's why
shit.
Secret went, because they were in the neighborhood, dude. They were right there.
Oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
Oh, one other thing, Purge, you'll appreciate this. They have those TVs, the touchscreen ones with the, what is it, Fingerworks or whatever. They have.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they have a couple of those in like the premier VIP rooms for like tier 1 teams to come in boot camp, so that the coach can like use the screen to talk to him and shit. I think they have 2 or 3
Smart.
of them. It's pretty legit.
That's pretty cool.
Well, be careful. You might get hired by a team, Purge. They might have your weatherman as a coach, as you can see right here.
No, honestly, people could do that so easily. It would literally any player right now could do that. All you need is Dota TV and a computer that can record, and that's it. You don't even need like Fingerworks or anything. Yeah, I mean, there's programs like that you can draw on it that don't cost, like, you don't have to buy hardware. You could like watch Dota TV at TI and make clips, and then like bring your tablet or laptop with the video files and just show it to the teams after the game. Like any player could do that right now. I don't know if anybody does though. They all like just take notes and talk about stuff.
Yeah,
But
Secret.
the value's there.
They really wanted Secret to use it and like kind of use it as a example of how helpful it can be. And I think like Secret's analysis was, this is pretty cool, but it has a very specific application. Like if we had this in our room at TI, I would say this is really fucking awesome. But we're not hardcore boot camping for this event, so it's only a tool that you use when you're really, you know, in the zone and trying to look at very specific things, not just like, hey, we're kind of hanging out playing games and just working on our own stuff.
And it's easier for all the players to get up from their desks, walk over to one desk while one guy plays to the replay and points things out with his mouse. So it's better for presentation on camera in a lot of ways. But you don't need to use a Fingerworks PC to do it. It's basically the same thing they're saying.
Okay.
Anybody can do this right now with a computer that can record clips with XSplit or OBS and a laptop. That's it. Anybody can do it. Nobody does though. It's very underutilized. I think it's super valuable, but nobody does it.
Interesting. But yeah, so cool experience for me. How was Genting? Slacks, you were over that way, right?
Yeah, it was great. I had a great time. It was something. They gave us a massage chair in our talent room. It was like a $9,000 massage chair. Okay, so you sit in this thing, right? And then it goes and it puts you in what it calls zero grav mode, where you're like sitting like this, and it has these arm things where you insert your arm and it locks you in. It like puts pressures on your arms and your legs. The thing could kill you whenever it wants. You're like suspended in the air. Your legs are locked in. Your arms are locked in. I must have sat in that thing for like probably 4 to 6 hours. They didn't have a lot for me to do. So I was just constantly being massaged. I got a laptop from, I don't know if you guys watched it, but MSI gave Nahaz a laptop. And he was like, I'm going to give it away to the fans and all that shit. What they didn't show you is that at the MSI booth, they also gave me a laptop. And there was a bunch of kids, and the kids were like, yay! And I'm like, all right, well, Nahaz gave his away. Fuck y'all, I'm keeping it. Here it is right here. I didn't get that shit away. And they didn't show that.
Didn't he just buy one? I saw his tweet about it. It's like he just bought a new laptop or something.
Yeah, he did. But I ain't giving that shit away to those fucking kids. That's mine. That's for daddy. So forget it.
Is it nicer than the one Moonduck bought you, Slacks?
I think so, although it does have a Filipino charger. So I don't I'll be able to charge it next time I do another Genting event. Yeah, it's not a big deal.
You just need a converter, that's all. And in fact, you could probably just buy a new power converter thing. It'll be fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It was kind of cool. They had me, the big reason I was out there was so that I could work with their sponsor, the MSI guys, and I got to be like a booth babe.
Whoa.
You know, they just had they had this booth, and I was just there playing 1v1s against people and like, you know, giving away shit. It was an easy job. Now I know what pro players, what their lives are like. They just get invited to get paid money to fucking sit there and beat kids in 1v1s and like talk shit. Although I only won one 1v1. We did 9 of them. It was horrible.
Did you actually try, or did you pick techies every time?
I did try. The kids got to choose every time. They're like, Invoker! And I'm like, I've never played Invoker. And then 3 ones later, Invoker! And I'm like, stop! I don't know. I don't even know the names of. It's like Quas and Quox and Zex or something. Please, someone help me. And then it was just a.
You're not a mid player anyway.
I'm not a mid player. Yeah. I don't know. I kept like stealing runes, and they're like disqualified, no runes, and I'm like, I can't. I don't know what to do, guys. I did 1v1 tactics.
Wow.
Oh, I did win against. I had an axe game. Battle Hunger Max, guys. Listen to me. It works. It works on mid. It works on everything. All right, are we doing this? Are we going in? I sent a message. I tried to contact you guys without talking about it.
It depends on what you want to do. I mean, Trent and I podcasted this morning. Trent was there. He kind of gave his take. I don't know how filtered or unfiltered it was. I wasn't really there. I can only say what I saw from at home, which was admittedly not as much as I would have liked. So, you know, it's up to you, buddy. If you want to throw down the gauntlet, we would all love to hear your personal tale. If not, then, well, can I pressure you into it?
All right.
I don't think you should talk about what it was like from your perspective while there. Like, I don't think you need to say behind the scenes stuff, I guess.
No,
Well,
I'll be real easy with you. A lot of the people that I worked with at the event, they're us. You know, they're gamers. They were making Facebook memes and shit too, and they, you know, were just as everything with it. A lot of the stuff came from the upper echelons of ESL, and a lot of people forget that people that work at these companies are human beings. You know, they love video games, they love Dota, and it was sad. I saw a man cry reading Reddit. I saw it, but it was intense. I was out of character. But, it was pretty intense.
You know, I always notice when
ahead.
I'm casting or something that I just don't notice the tech issues as much. Because, like, when you're casting, you're sitting there and you're casting the game. Like, sometimes it's happened where you're casting a game and you don't realize the stream's been dead for like 5 minutes. And they just don't tell you because it's better that they don't tell you. Because then it's going to throw you off your game, and that's what you're going to think about is tech issues and, like, am I stuttering? Is the audio quality good? The only time you should ever find that stuff out is if you're, like, reading Twitch chat after the game or Twitter messages or something. So I feel like my assumption is that you guys just kept doing your jobs and you didn't really see the full blowback. And I feel like that's maybe one of the reasons that Talent were so vocal about it being okay is because they didn't see the tech issues maybe.
Well, again, I'm a bad guy to talk about this with. In case you guys didn't notice, I didn't really do anything for the group stage. There was a little bit of a miscommunication. I was only used during the main stage. So when all the blowback was happening, I was literally just sitting in my apartment eating McDonald's hamburgers and playing video games and laughing about it. So, I mean,
Wow.
Blitz and all the other guys, they were down in Kuala Lumpur. I was already up in Genting in the fucking casino resort. I went out to, like, a temple and was, like, on the gondola. I was having a great time. So, mostly for me, it was great. I had a really good time just reading all that sick-ass drama. All right, but let's get into it. Let's get into the Dota community and getting into different streaming platforms besides Twitch, because you can funnel it all around. You can say whatever you want, and that's the issue, really. Now, I'm gonna say something pretty controversial. I'm gonna say something you don't expect. All right, fucking y'all, the rich get richer in this system. Valve and everybody out there, you know, the monopolies continue. I will say ESL fucked up by shutting streamers down. That's just the worst way to go. You can't fight internet trolls by trying to silence them. You just ignore them and let them go. I'm going to tell you, if you're saying that people can only do one kind of streaming source, you know, all that shit, then you're just making the rich richer. I don't like what Valve said in the blog post. Maybe I'm an idiot, but trying to grow the community? Bullshit, you're trying to grow the community. You're trying to get Admiral Bulldog to have as many viewers as you want. How do you get any small-time streamers to be able to do anything, any new talent? Let me ask you a question. I'm ESL. I'm giving somebody an opportunity for the first time in their life. I'm hiring MLP to go cast my event, the qualifiers. And then Toby's upset that he didn't get invited. So he casts the qualifiers from home. Nobody's going to watch that fucking new guy. You're not growing any talent. You're just the popular people stay popular and the rich get richer. That's all I'm saying. Fuck y'all.
I mean,
So
go ahead.
do you want to? You can go first if you want, Andrew.
Well, I think you're pointing out sort of one of the poor manifestations. And I think one of the hardest parts about this whole thing is drawing the line of, you know, what is commercial, right? I love the idea of that vision of some no-name caster that just wants to practice being able to turn on his stream, broadcast a tournament to 10 to 15 viewers or something, and just kind of get that experience getting hours on the mic. It's cool that you're allowed to do that. But where does it stop? And is it just because Bulldog doesn't have overlays on his stream? Does that mean it's not commercial? He still has a shitload of subs and obviously could make a lot of money off of ad revenue. Do you do it on a Twitch stream that isn't yours where you can't monetize it at all? It becomes a very hard thing to actually, what is the line of who's allowed to do what? I think Valve is painting a very nice conceptual world where we live in this world where we want hard lines. You know, we want to know exactly who can and who can't. You know, is it fucked up for Mott and I to do it just because we're from a competing studio? Maybe, but is that actually the drawing line? You know, what is it of who's allowed to do what? So I see what you're saying, Slacks. It's kind of, if you're ESL, you're feeling pretty shitty.
I mean, it's, why would anyone host a major anymore? Tell me why. You can't even guarantee that you get viewership anymore because someone else could just go and steal all your viewers that's popular in the community. You don't make any money. In case you guys didn't know that, doing events in Dota is a horrific shot in the dark for making money because the prize pools are so fucking gigantic. And you have
it's not the prize pools, it's like the fact you have to fly like 10 to 16 teams out, and hotels and renting the venue, like all the costs are huge compared to
the cost of doing the tournament is huge. You can now kind of advertise, but you can't have all the advertisers. You can't have betting sites. You can't have people that actually pay well. You can be big guys, but you have to promise them that you're going to get viewers. But how the fuck do you sell any sponsorship if you can't even promise that your games will be viewed by people on your channel with their advertising? There's zero reason to run a Dota 2 minor right now. I would fucking never do it. I would never tell anybody to do it. Because if you don't hire the right people, then they're just going to go out and stream your fucking games. So, I mean, it's insanity. I don't know. Now, I'm not saying that anyone is innocent here. Of course, ESL knew exactly what was going to happen when they went on Facebook. They might have not thought that it would happen to such a huge degree, that they would be absolutely blasted fucked-o'd. But at the same time, blowback was going to come. But it's crazy. I don't understand. What is stopping me at the next summit from having me and my two friends cast the summit from my house?
I definitely agree with you a lot, Slex. My opinion while the event was going on and while the drama was going on was that I looked at it from the corporate side as well, thinking that they deserve their viewership to be on their platform. With that said, the first day there were tech issues, so that was obviously a big deterrent and a huge negative, and that kind of like undermines the whole argument. Like if the Facebook stream started day one and it was perfectly flat, like everything worked, there was no tech issues, everybody can watch the stream, then I don't think it's a huge deal. People would have probably just stuck around and watched it. The DMCA thing that went on as well, I assumed that Facebook was, or that ESL was on the right there, because I assumed that Valve's language. Now that was my opinion at the time. I was actually surprised by Valve's statement. I thought that when Valve's statement said like you're not allowed to do competing sponsors kind of a thing, I thought that because the sponsor was a streaming platform that would clarify that they shouldn't be restreaming. That was my opinion of Valve's original wording of the previous blog. So I was actually very surprised when they came out and said what they said. And like you said, it basically undercuts the profitability of the majors and anybody that runs a major or minor, which is very weird. But in the same vein, and I didn't get this until somebody explained it to me, what Valve's doing with their new policy is the best possible thing to make Dota 2 grow, which ultimately is, in the end, what's more important, right? Because if you think about a third-party stream happening, if that person does a good job, that's like a little gem where people can enjoy it and have a great time and be happy. So yes, it undercuts the people that get hired for the event, and it undercuts the sponsors, it undercuts the tournaments. That aspect is clearly, Valve is clearly sided with the community as a whole, because growing the Dota 2 player base is more important than anything else. Like, that's, people complain about the player base dwindling, and now Valve defends the player base, and this is like the most pro player base thing I think they've done in a long time. Yeah, saying that like all that matters is growing the player base and letting people make something that's interesting. I do agree that they punted the black line again. It's punted down the line again, and that now the next step is how much streaming is too much, and which streamers are allowed to cast games. Because it says competing studios can't, like you touched earlier. Moonduck can't cast BTS games. BTS can't cast Moonduck games. But what about other languages? Is that transformative enough? Are we allowed to sell like broadcast rights to Russians or Chinese broadcasters? Is any caster by themselves allowed? Am I allowed to cast on my mainstream because I am technically a YouTube creator? I'm a Twitch streamer. I'm a caster. I'm an analyst. I work in Moonduck. It's like, because I have these other first two things, YouTube and Twitch, could I just go and stream and cast these games? But ultimately, I think the most crucial word in all of their statement was sometimes. I believe it was like they can sometimes stream games.
You're not allowed to
Doesn't
do it
mean
all the
they
time,
can't,
I guess.
They can't show up to every tournament and restream it. But how much does sometimes mean? And even then, isn't sometimes kind of broad still? Like if Bulldog shows up and only ever casts like grand finals days, isn't that still kind of a dick move? It's like, well, I feel like watching the games. You feel like watching it because it's the fucking grand finals, right? So you just sometimes, every time, feel like casting the grand finals. Like it's just a little like where's the line in there? And now it's up to Valve to eventually find somebody that crosses that line too hard, and then that person will have to be contacted by them and told that they need to stop doing that. So the whole thing just definitely surprised me, and I thought it was very interesting to watch watch it develop, basically.
It's a super weird thing for me, because like I'm very pro community too. I think that the community, whoever has the best product is the ones that should be the ones succeeding. And of course, that's why the event didn't work out, because they were on Facebook, which is not the best product. However, it's just what's going to happen in the future is what I'm worried about, because I am pro community, and I feel like the only way to grow the community is to give people chances. When you find these new casters, like, you know, when ODPixel was on your stream and stuff, it was because of that opportunity, because he was invited to be with other high-ranking people so that they could find that person. I mean, what in this situation where we have these tier 3 casters trying to grind stuff, and then tier 1 casters that are not invited to the event are able to just do stuff as an alternate, and how do you grow the community at all? How do you find...
I would argue... what you're arguing right now, I feel like it's offset by other factors that are allowed. Like, yes, if a tier 3 caster that's good but not amazing, yes, he won't get as much mainstream exposure now. But if it's some brand new person that nobody's ever heard of, their stream could potentially blow up through Reddit or word of mouth because people really like what they're doing. So, the third-person people, like a potential new ODPixel, would maybe not blow up as fast, but... if there was some amazing ODPixel that just started, and it was like his first week casting games, and he was amazing, he could definitely explode far faster. So so yes, it will negate some growth, but I think I wouldn't say that all growth is negated by their new policy. I wouldn't say that at all.
I think it can swing both ways. I think Slacks is pointing out like a legitimate fear, and I think there is like that potential gain if somebody does have a breakout moment because of that opportunity. But one of the things I wanted to ask was, is this actually the best example of how the community will react to things off of Twitch? Because I think it almost is two different pieces of the puzzle: a non-Twitch event and a Facebook event. And I think Facebook is probably one of the most polarizing examples in terms of our audience has the probably one of the highest concentrations of people that are aware of their digital footprint, the data that they put out, what it's worth, and how it's used. I think Facebook is one of the worst offenders of being unapologetic of very hardcore monetizing free content that's generated by users. And there's just a very vocal minority of people that are saying, any other platform and I'm good, but fuck Facebook. And I'm curious if you guys think that is that really just a minuscule vocal minority? Do you think this would have been exactly the same if it was all of the same circumstances, but this was owned 3D or some other platform or Africa TV or something?
I think that is a percentage of people, especially Dota players. I think that they are sensitive to that issue. I feel like most of that is undercut if they don't require you to sign into an account to watch the stream. If you can just go and watch a Facebook stream and not have to log in, like the privacy concerns, I feel like it's not as... I mean, I don't know that much about tech and tracking and how much they can track you based on cookies or you not being logged in, but I feel like that kind of undercuts that argument.
It certainly does. It helps.
Here's something for you. I feel like most people were 100% willing to give the Facebook stream a shot. I know I was. When it came out, I looked for it the first day, and I had a really hard time getting to it. And this is just like the perfect storm of it was on a different platform, and that platform was actually god-awful the first couple days. And it just, you know, the trolls just went to ham on it. I don't think the community's too against different platforms besides Twitch, but they're just, they want good products, and it just wasn't there for the first couple days. The stream actually turned out okay towards the end. Yeah. But if I may say, the people that blindly follow Twitch and just are like, oh, Twitch, we have to do it. I love Twitch. I know a lot of people that work for Twitch, but you're an idiot, okay? Competition is the best way to make sure that all of our lives are better. If Twitch finds out, and after this event, they're probably feeling like they're the only good streamer platforms, do you think the contracts, when they're renewed, are going to be better or worse? They're going to be fucking garbage, because people are like, no one's competent. You know what? No, we gave you $100,000 last year. Let's make it 20 this year, because you have nowhere else to go. Competition is absolutely essential. But did ESL do it right? No, not this time, for sure.
And one thing that really inflamed the whole situation was the DMCA thing. And I thought about it a lot. Because trying to decide like what's unique about the Dota community. Why were they so angry? Because this was like the biggest shitstorm I feel like I've seen since like Dire Tide maybe.
Oh
like
yeah, it was a big
where the Reddit community finally within the Dota 2 scene got super angry, and there was a lot of emotion. And I think it was when the DMCA's happened, because I think I realized why. I think it's because Dota players play Dota because there's such a depth of knowledge and there's so much stuff that you can learn, that there's always more that you can learn and explore and do to be better, and to know what the right thing to do is to be good. So I feel like when somebody makes a mistake, and in their eyes the DMCA thing was wrong, and ultimately was seen as wrong by Valve and others, including lawyers and things, because they did the wrong thing, then people got ultra mad, especially because the PR of ESL was not so good. They were a little bit arrogant about it and made bad statements, just from what I've heard. So because they did the wrong thing and everybody saw they did the wrong thing, that's when everybody jumps real hard. So if you make a genuine mistake and if you don't admit you're wrong and apologize, people get ultra mad. So it like took this drama and multiplied it by like 3 times, and then all of a sudden it's a huge hurricane shitstorm is basically what happened. I think that's why the drama got so giant. Like, I mean, if it just moved on from like the first 2 days of the stream being rocky, and there was no DMCAing or something, and then everything I think would have been like annoying, like a big drama, but not like a shitstorm.
I just wish they didn't do that. I wish they didn't whatever you call it, DMCA. Because it would have been such a more interesting conversation to say, like, you know, is the community ready for alternate sources of finding streams? Should we be expanding? What is this and this? And that part, it just made them the bad guys, and there was very little arguing that they weren't the bad guys in that situation. It just destroyed the whole argument. So in one swoop, you take this one really interesting thing for the growth of our community, and then they just shit on the argument so hard in the negative direction that there's no standing for it now. Now it's like, you know, it's very unfortunate, you know? But, yeah. I mean, Twitch, even if there was a better one, like if YouTube actually comes out there and it's a good one, I'm probably going to still stay loyal for Twitch, but I think that there should be competition. If there's not, we're all fucked.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And I think one of the big arguments is at least something like Own3D or U2 Live or Azubu, all of them have their individual faults you could point out, but they're still streaming platforms. You're still using a platform for its intended use. Facebook is not a streaming platform. It has the capability to allow you to do streams, but it's fundamentally not what Facebook is really designed to do. And I mean, I'm a Facebook user, and even just finding the stream and making it work and all, it was kind of a weird experience compared to just past times. I'm like, okay, it's on YouTube, found the link immediately on Reddit, and I'm there. You know? Yeah. And I definitely have to admit, I don't like the idea of seeing all of my Facebook friends watching the stream. I don't like the idea of everyone knowing that I'm watching the stream. And it's a weird thing because there's nothing secret about it. Most people would guess, what are you doing right now? You're watching the major. Okay, cool. But something about it just made me feel a little violated. Like, Jesus, we're all...
I sort of liked that, because then hypothetically, if I'm watching a game and I turned the stream on at one point, and I saw that Charlie was watching as well, I could message Charlie and talk to him about the game. Yeah. And it wouldn't be like hey, are you watching the game by any chance, on the off chance that you happen to watch it. So like friendship-wise, I do... Obviously, the privacy concerns around that make people feel weird, because we've never really had that kind of a situation where like we walk into a bar and there's our friend that we see and now we are obligated to say hello. The internet's never functioned like that very well. Very much like that. But now there are benefits of that as well. If I don't see Charlie very often, I could say, oh man, there's Charlie. I can talk to him about this. Right. So I wish there was more aspects like that on the internet, because it doesn't happen much in the last decade, I feel like. Because people have become more secluded on the internet in terms of their interests in gaming.
I feel like it's really cool to take away anonymity, or whatever you call it, as a Twitch chat viewer, you know? The Facebook stream, there's no racist shit. There was no, like, fucking super feminist shit. Because someone says something super racist, you're like, hey, John Frank Smith, I see where you live, you motherfucker. I'm gonna come kill you. Like, you can't do that shit there. So it was pretty neat for that aspect. Yeah. It's just unfortunate. It's unfortunate that they decided to use this different platform, which would have grew the scene if the platform was something that could have competed, but it was bad. It was really bad. So now, you know, as I said at the beginning, the rich get richer and the powerful get more popular.
What a crazy roller coaster for ESL, right? You have all these events right before this where you break a Mercedes into the space. The meme is everywhere. That had to have been one of the best, like, hey, Mercedes, you guys are a really cool brand. We can do a lot for you in esports. And that reaction is above and beyond what you see out of almost any other sponsorship, right? I consider that like a nailed it, job well done. And then you just swing so far the other way to miss the mark on Facebook. It's sort of incredible, and in some ways just
I don't
speaks.
feel too bad.
It's not about feeling bad. It's just
rich right now.
it's insane how quickly it shifts. You know, one day you are a hero of, oh my God, these guys are bringing money into Dota. Let's support them. I love this. I love these memes. We're all on the same team, and they can just turn on you that quick. You know, all of a sudden, just one mistake later, and you are the fucking enemy. You know, I remember seeing that screenshot of Twitch, and it looked like the Hearthstone Twitch page, where it's just all these like 500, 450, 300 viewer streams. Everybody was just streaming it on Twitch. It was just a global effort of, all right, let's get everybody who's got a Twitch stream. It was like watching Dunkirk. If you've got a boat, get to going. You know, I mean, Reddit got to that point with it. People were out of fucking control, dude. The extremes that you experience to run events in this space is just it's mind-boggling sometimes.
I couldn't even read those Reddit threads. Like, I wanted to go in those threads and like read the arguments, but it was like the top 8 upvoted comments were all just emotionally fueled anger. I was like, I'm actually getting nothing from this thread unless you're of the same opinion as the general angry people. It's like the thread just not enjoyable. It's just like a circle jerk of like, haha, we were right, they were wrong, they're assholes.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to read the arguments, and I didn't. I just couldn't be bothered because it was.
Hey, that's not our fault though. Because there could have been good arguments, but
I'm sure there were. It's just they weren't on the top.
Well, the PR department of ESL and the tweets of our boy there prevented us from having arguments. They brought it to a level of like only anger and responses, and then there was nothing to talk about. There's just the fucking pitchforks. So what can you do? But I will say I had another point on this one. Oh yeah, everybody wants us to talk about rawdota, how that grew. Well, that's nice. Good for him. I'm glad that he got some viewers and all that stuff. And they're using that as an example of how growth can happen from the new Valve system. I'd like to address that, if I may.
Go for it.
I mean, yes, that's very nice that he got a lot of viewers because the other thing was on Facebook. And that's what should have happened, was that they used a different platform. Then guys should have started streaming it on Twitch as a response. If they didn't get DMCA'd, we'd have a lot more to talk about. But is that a success story? In a way, but also not in a way. It's old Grand without as much of the hoompa. All right? Here's the thing for rawdota. Yeah, he got a lot of viewers. It worked out really well. But now an org hates him. Then, it's a risk now to hire him and all that stuff. And maybe, he could get with another org and all that stuff. But that's the thing. If you try to grow by streaming stuff that other people have produced, how do you get into that thing? I did work for Grant because he was an established personality, and people took a chance on inviting him in on early events. But if you think that blacklisting yourself from orgs is a good way to grow as a personality, it's probably going to be pretty rough. I still support the guy. I was one of the guys who said when Grant was started stealing people's tournaments content and streaming it, go, dude. They won't hire you. Fuck them. Get in there and make them be better. So, I don't know. It's a difficult situation. It could work out, but it could also very much not, you know?
Yeah, and there's a lot of good things about the Valve's policy too. Like, I remember doing a stream during the Facebook drama, and I was like waiting, I was queuing for a game and I hadn't found one yet. And I go to the watch tab and I'm like, I really want to click on this Genting game. But I felt like I shouldn't, because I knew that at the time Valve hadn't released their follow-up statement. I personally felt like it was taking their viewership, and especially because of this, so I didn't want to do it, right? And that was a really annoying feeling. It felt like a stupid ass rule. It was like, I can't just press this watch button, watch this game for 3 minutes, and then move away. That felt like the dumbest thing ever. So for reasons like that, the policies ultimately benefit for the Dota 2 community. Mm-hmm. It's just tournaments and tournament orgs are less likely to make as much money, which maybe is okay, maybe is not okay. Maybe there'll be less tournaments, maybe there'll be less tournament orgs that try to make tournaments happen. Will Dota still succeed regardless? Probably yes. So I think ultimately, Valve's decision was for the best of the community. I didn't see it coming the way that they came down on it, but it was definitely, there's a lot I learned from watching the drama and the whole thing unfold. It was interesting.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Now, if I may take a moment again, Zyori, I'm sorry. I keep making sure you can't say stuff. Here's the biggest thing, though. The biggest other side of the coin that's eating me away is that I also love this. too. Everybody only sees the negatives of it, but to me, one of the guys who, I don't know, I don't want to toot my own horn here, but Midas Mode and stuff like that, as somebody who thinks that the viewer experience should be more than just Dota TV, this is outstanding from Valve too. Because now the rule is, if you don't make your shit more entertaining than some rando jerk-off streaming it on his shitty PC from his mom's basement, you don't deserve the viewer. And as a guy who really supports that and tries to have Dota be more integrated with the audience and have it be more interesting and compelling, I think that this is amazing too. So as I want to defend these big orgs like ESL and stuff and say that no one should be able to stream their stuff because they're the ones who put in all the effort to do it, and how do you promise your sponsors that they can even get viewers? But at the same time, it's so cool. It's like the Wild West if you think about it. Whoever can make the best product that's the most engaging on that stream and have like in-game overlays and like layer earth and cool shit, they're the ones that should be winning the most. So I guess it's anybody's ball game, and will orgs take the effort to do that though? Why would you? I don't know.
And I'm kind of curious how to even solve that problem, because there's always that balance between professionalism and like we don't really have much professionalism when we run our tournaments. We still do the tournament and we still cast the games and all, but we definitely mess around a lot, and we don't do things normal, and we don't do things polished, and that is just fun sometimes. And it's different, because if every tournament tries to be professional, it's not like ever eternal battle. It's basically what James has always argued for. Too Good. It's like, oh, he doesn't want it to be like that, because then it gets boring and stale, and then we lose part of what we really are. So it's kind of going to be interesting to see how those restreams try to become that. And historically, casters or pro players never really wanted to cast games. Like pretty much every caster would be out of a job if pro players actually liked casting and wanted to be full-time casters. Because obviously the pro players would be better than us at casting games because they have far more Dota knowledge. They just have to get good at the other stuff, the broadcasting stuff, the being able to talk, the being willing to talk stuff. But they never do. So I feel like there was this big explosion because of the drama that everybody's like, cool, I can go stream it. But over time that might start dwindling, and that whole like appeal of BSJ or Bulldog casting a game, maybe it's going to go away, and then people will eventually tune into the mainstreams and watch more professional, more standard tournament stuff. I'm not sure. It's going to be interesting to see how that swing goes.
It again. Oh boy. 4 more months, guys, and maybe we can start making money again.
Yeah,
I agree with you. I don't know though with Purge. Did you see TI? I'm not sure the pro players are really that welcome in the community as casters and panelists anymore. Yeah.
I think it's because a lot of them don't want to do it. It's not because they can't. It's because playing is much more satisfying to them. That's why they're pro-level players and not professional level like, think about Red Eye, right? He is a broadcaster first before everything else, and then he's a gamer. For a professional Dota...
No, come on. You can't say that. He's gamer first. He's obviously like top-tier broadcaster, but he's also been a gamer his whole life.
Okay,
so
I didn't mean it to say he's not a gamer. I just on a professional level. Like a pro player is a gamer first in the sense they make their livelihood from playing games. Red Eye makes his livelihood from being a broadcaster. So it's the same way that he's not a pro player. They're not a professional broadcaster. And most players, I don't think they think of like, man, I could always just quit playing and just sit back and talk about it. Like that's not a very enticing future vision for yourself. You're always thinking about how can I win? How can I get on the right team? How can I continue? Like their passion is playing Dota, not talking about it.
Like basically you could take Red Eye and put him into a broadcast position for something that isn't even video games, and he would still do an amazing job. This is basically what you mean.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like he's able to do that. Whereas like anybody else, you'd be like, man, I just want to go play Dota right now. They wouldn't be as good at it. I mean,
look at our own boy Cinderin. Cast the finals of TI, whatever he chooses to. One of the greatest casters that we have, and fuck if he wants to do it. He wants to be a pro player. That's all that he wants. And even though he's the greatest, one of the best that we have. I mean, that's a competitive spirit. For me, it's the opposite. I'm a fantastic player, one of the best in the world, and I just don't want to do it. I just don't want to win TI.
4 digits Omni Night. That's why you're not there yet.
I mean, it's just second place at TI. I'm not interested in getting first. I mean, I just want to broadcast.
You got to have something to dream for, right, Slacks?
I just don't. Players' lives suck.
But it's a fundamentally hard thing to answer, right? It's part of this digital age. It reminds me a little bit of music and pirating and torrenting and all that stuff. And ultimately, what was the solution? things like Spotify being available and having great quality, great reliable resources for a price that people are willing to pay to not be a criminal, right? That's what it's all about. Finding that, hey, it's worth $5 a month for me to have access to all this music and not have to fuck around with downloading it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I finally pulled all those musicians and producers who are now willing to make that music available on that service, because if they didn't, like the people wouldn't buy their albums anyways. They'd still download them from somewhere. This is just making it easier and making it fair.
And esports is along that same realm where we're taking some aspects of traditional business and traditional ways of running events and trying to put it into this cutting edge, live streaming, young person, millennial driven digital experience that's, you know, growing and evolving very, very quickly. It's a little bit hard to keep up. And I think some of this is like, you know, kind of a manifestation of those road bumps of we want things to be accessible, but you can't just make everything ultimately always accessible, because, you know, IP is a real thing and there is ownership, but it's a tricky landscape to navigate. You know, there's a lot of moving pieces. It's just not, there is no simple, this is the right answer, I don't think, at least not right now.
Yeah, and a lot of people are going to learn some very costly and painful lessons, as we've seen probably the biggest example of in the Dota 2 community in that event. But hey, you know what? There's always going to be positives. I bet you to hell, ESL has this big contract with Facebook. I bet that Facebook player will be top-notch for the next event. They're going to be working their asses off. I mean, I like the site Shanghai Major. You guys remember how shit that was? And then the next two majors were fucking fantastic. Manila was probably one of the greatest events that Dota's ever had, you know?
Yeah,
you gotta have a
money
real
and they put more
shitter.
effort into it.
Well, that's true. You gotta have a real shitter to motivate yourself. Welcome to life, you know? So, I don't know.
I mean,
anyway,
you do make a good point. We good? Life does tend to balance itself out, and when you're at your lowest, it can lead you to your highest. That is very philosophical, Slacks. Deep.
All right. Are we moving on? Are we good? Everyone say what they want to say?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, I guess the conclusion we should mention, in case anybody missed it, is that ESL did eventually apologize, right? They owned up to it and basically said, hey, guys, we messed up. Give us another chance. We're sorry. We get it now. Our bad. That was kind of the TLDR I took away from their statement. So ultimately, that is the right thing to do, as you mentioned earlier, Purge. That was sort of what the community wanted all along. No, Slacks, you're shaking your head?
Fuck no. Listen, and you guys want to know real PR? If you fuck up real bad, you just ride that wave, okay? That's what you do. Can I tell you a little story about wrestling? Wrestling is a great example of sociology in small chunks. And every popular wrestler, The Rock, Stone Cold, those bitches started as heels. They started as the bad guy. Because guess what? If you're the bad guy long enough, you get a crowd that loves you, and you have to become the good guy. After ESL did that, they should have put one tweet, fuck y'all, and they just keep doing it. Do you know how much popular they would be if you do that? I'm telling you, boys. Heels. If you ever want to be a popular guy, just be a complete dick for long enough, and you'll start to get a huge audience, because people like dicks. It's fun.
You're right. They would have retained this very dedicated player base that agreed with them, and then the Valve statement would have come out, and then everything would have been ruined. The business would have been
You're
destroyed.
telling me if ESL came out with a tweet and they said, fuck Valve and fuck you, and then they said, see on Facebook for cowardice, nobody would be like, whoa, sick! Like, I would be the biggest ESL fan. Come on, dude. That would be amazing.
I honestly don't know how I would react. I would just be in shock. I would just be like, guys, I can't believe that they just did that.
No, you know what would happen if that happened? We'd be like, oh shit, somebody's getting fired. And then somebody would get fired, and then they'd put out another tweet being like, sorry, rogue employee, and then they go back to normal. That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. Somebody would get fucking fired, and it would be normal again 5 days later. Because there's no way that a company that big is just gonna be like, yeah, let's take this path. Somebody in there would be like, hey guys, this company's worth many millions of dollars. Yeah. Maybe we should solve this and go the neutral way, because our business thrives on viewership, and we just alienated a couple people. So
yeah, Purge, I agree. There's no way a big company like that would have some kind of weird Twitter shit that got everything a lot worse. I mean, that would never happen.
So how about a pivot point, right? We talked about a whole angle of this argument is opportunity for new talent, new people in the community to pop up and show what they've got. Are we almost at a point in this season where there are so many events that it is actually impossible for all of the quote-unquote Tier 1 talent to cast all of everything, right? We saw Galaxy Battles 2, not officially a major or a minor, but we got to see some new talent make face there, right? Tsunami. Danilee was casting on hosting the panel There were some others that I'm forgetting, but it was a kind of a different group of people that we're not used to always seeing at these events. And Reddit really warmed up to him. It seemed like I saw a number of shout-out threads, a lot of positive reception for the individual talent, rolling with the punches and that kind of stuff. Does it have to be this, I'm casting over another tournament to find an opportunity, or are we finally starting to see some movement for folks that, you don't normally associate with LAN coverage?
I would say a little bit, but not that much.
Okay.
Less than I expected.
I don't know. I'm a doomsday kind of guy. I feel like every single time that a new guy is casting, I think it's worse for casters. I'll say that. If you're an up-and-coming caster, it was already fucking hard. Now it's impossible. There's no reason to try to be a caster now. Because what's the point, Oh, look, Johnny Appleseed is casting this game, but oh, fuck, Toby didn't get invited, so now Toby's casting the game on his channel. Bye.
Again, Toby won't be able to, because he's a caster.
Okay, fine, Toby's friend is casting it, and Toby's in the room, and they're both in there together. Like, what's wrong with that,
Maybe he'll get a message, who knows? Yeah, I agree. Yeah. That's a gray line somewhere in there.
I mean, panelists, though, they're fine. They're still safe, just come on.
I don't think anyone tier 1 talent that's worked major events or still does is allowed to do this casting thing. It literally has to be, like, pro players or nobodies.
Oh, that's not fair.
Yeah, it's
fucking
it's
Bulldog
really
got invited to TI, and he's allowed to cast
Bulldog
just because he decided not to go to TI. Thanks
and he's
a lot
got
for
10
that, by the way.
times more subs. He probably has 10 to 20 times more subs than any of us, any caster, most likely, as do any other like top tier pro players. Because he's obviously very interesting and funny and makes a great product, but the fact that he can now monetize those streams but casters can't is kind of definitely a little backwards in some ways. And he probably makes at least 2 times more money than a full-time caster, I would guess. Maybe 1.5 times.
I mean, I feel like in this current system, the tier 2 and tier 3 casters have been some of the biggest breadwinners. There have been more games available for those hungry casters to chew through than ever before. I mean, even look at the DAC qualifiers. We get that, hey, can you guys cast this? And I look at the schedule, and it's like, oh, you need 8 casters in this time slot. Okay. Let me make some phone calls. Like there are people that, that have been on my list of, hey, if we had the games, I'd love to give you an opportunity. And I'm finally talking to some of those people with, hey, are you available on Friday to cast this tournament? I'm casting with fucking Jenkins tomorrow for the CIS qualifiers for DAC, and he's super stoked to have an opportunity to cast. It's not like we haven't invited him because we don't like him. We just haven't really had a surplus of games until now. And it's just been this endless cycle of qualifiers and events, then qualifiers and events. And it's only fucking February here, boys. We've still got a pretty long runway till TI comes up.
I mean, that's a great point. I am hyped for that. People like Moxie and shit that are just rising up. That's pretty cool. But, it's nice while they're doing the third-party shit. But once I get hired for the big events, and it's, Moxie and BSJ casting the grand finals, but oh no, fucking Arteezy and the boys are watching the grand finals from home. Oh no, well, there goes their opportunity. Bye. Yeah, well, we'll see. Maybe I'm being too negative on the whole thing. I'm sure it'll work out.
I just think those players won't. They'll do it very rarely. I think the only people that might would be like your Sing Sing or Bulldog type streamers who do that is their primary job was streaming. And they're obviously very, very talented Dota players. So I think they're the only ones that are likely to undercut often. And then they'll be, if somebody gets banned or messaged by Valve to stop it, I think it would probably be one of them first if they do it too often. But as long as they only cast grand finals, maybe that's not enough. I don't know.
Whatever. It's all good.
Valve looks like the good guy right now. So as soon as they have to tell somebody privately to stop doing it so often, and as soon as that person says it publicly, Valve will get the blowback again.
Hell yeah. What a sick move by Valve, by the way. Holy shit. We were talking about, being the bad guy. Try coming in being the angel, bro. Be like, I decree that the community is correct, and everyone needs to figure it out. Goodbye. Like, holy shit, what a great statement that was. God damn, you can't do it better than that. I won't tell you exactly what to do, but the people are right. See ya. Oh!
In some ways, what Valve chose in terms of who can restream, like if casters could restream, like studios could maybe, let's ignore studios, but let's say like somebody, I don't know, like Cap that's not affiliated with a studio right now. If he could cast these games, he could basically produce a product that's extremely similar in quality to the actual tournament stream, pretty much, with the exception of like you're not going to get player shots, but you'll be in game, you'll be in client, it'll be delayed a little bit, but he could get somebody else to cast with him, Blitz maybe, and do like basically equal quality. So in some ways,
Sure.
like preventing casters from being able to restream makes sense because the type of content would be almost exactly the same. And letting pro players do it, it's going to be different enough because they're not practice casters that it'll still be interesting and people will want to watch it. So it's not like a full undercut. So in some ways, their policy has a meta that ends up making sense. In the long
I
run.
agree too. And of course, tournament awards can always step it up. Have cool fucking features that you only get by watching on the mainstream instead of just taking your Dota TV feed, putting it on a camera, and being like, "We're done." Have some cool shit.
I mean,
think outside the box.
It definitely does give individuals a little bit of insulation. You know, like here's a weird Fringe example I just thought of. But imagine if tomorrow we just fired Mott and said, "You know what, Mott, get fucked. See you later," right? But he could make a plea and say, "Hey guys, this was really unfair. You know, they terminated my contract without clause way too early. I'm left hanging here. I'm just going to try to cast some games." Like the community could rally behind him. He could cast games and he could, you know, get some subs, get a thing rolling. And that would be considered like that's a community member that the community is stepping up to help because he got fucked by another member in the community space, you know? And by Valve's policy, that would be okay. Mott would be just an individual casting games, doing what he loves, trying to keep his head above water in this difficult time. You see?
How many viewers do we have right now?
1,500? I don't know.
Let's fucking do this. Let's just fire Mott tomorrow. And then he can go on Reddit and be like, "Guys, this is so unfair." We'll get the people on Mott's side. He'll be a tier 1 caster at fucking TI. Then we invite him back in the studio. Everybody wins, guys. Let's fucking do it. Let's fire Mott tonight. Send him the message, bro. Delete the VOD of this podcast.
How about,
1,000 people? They're not
dude,
gonna
how about
fucking
every
believe.
time that there's a tournament that we're not casting as Moonduck, we'll fire Mott so he's freelance and then can cast it. And then we'll hire him again right after it's over. Repeat
Mott,
the
the
cycle.
summit's coming up. You're fucking fired.
And it's like the next event, because we got
Do what you
Katowice
want.
coming up, right? We got to fire Mott before Katowice starts. And then right before he flies out to go to Bucharest, we hire him again. And right after, fucking can him, dude. I don't care how good he does.
We'll have like blog posts and they're like, "It has come time that we must say goodbye to Mott," and we just copy paste it.
It's been
over
a
and
great
over.
9 days having Mott on Moonduck, but we felt it was time for him to go separate ways.
He's just
That would
gotta
be
go.
a funny... So,
Oh shit! Maybe we could get the guy from Navi and he could write it for us. I mean, he's got a lot of practice. At
no, just every
That'd be
time Mott gets more and more emotional, like it's a mafia plane. It's just like, I really thought this would be my
How
third
did they
chance.
do this?
They told me that this would be the last time, and here we fucking are. Oh my god. Jesus Christ.
That
Alright,
would still
guys,
probably
this is the
block
plan.
it. It's a good idea.
No.
Mott tier 1 again, boys. Here we go. All right, I'm down.
Yeah, well, that's what you're
Okay.
going for. I mean, BSJ listed in an official Valve blog. I know it's been talked about a lot, but still, that is like, dude, seriously. When I was at BTS and they kind of invented the team fight recap and then it just got implemented into the game, they were really upset because a lot of effort, a lot of hours, a lot of work went into designing that thing and making it work. And I remember LD saying all they had to do was acknowledge it once that we were the ones that came up with the idea. You know, that's all I want is an acknowledgement. You know, there were times where having your name listed in the Valve blog was like, that we would have been happy if you had just said
cool.
thank you. This was a really good idea. It inspired us to add it into the game. Well done. You know, that would have gone a long way instead of just waking up one day and being like, oh, that was $10,000 wasted. That was good. That's great.
You've been in a blog post, Purge?
Yeah, a long time ago. It was
Wow.
like around TI 2 days. They wrote a blog. Back then I used to have like my bed in my background. It was when I lived in Wisconsin. And they mentioned that my bed was in my background. It was like, oh, this guy's really good for stream. I don't remember it, but it's a super old blog post. It's probably like 5 or 6 years old now.
Congrats.
like-
That's an
I was like-
ancient one.
You're
That's
really
like
cool.
one of the
Holy
first.
moly.
They like shot. They were like shouting people out like once a blog, kind of. It was
That's
like
nice.
Still.
I'm sure BTS got a shout out at one point.
Wow.
Maybe some other people. I don't remember, but it happened once. Yeah, it was a long time
They
ago.
don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Did you guys know that Icefrog used to personally invite people to stuff?
Yeah, I was
I've been
I
there.
was invited to the last TI that Icefrog did the invites. The TI that
Wow,
I cast,
and he talked to you?
Icefrog, I had that moment. You get added on
Wow.
Skype and you're like, I've seen that icon before, and hello Andrew, and you're like, what the fuck? It's Icefrog. That is a very real moment that used to happen. And you're right, Slacks. I don't think that happens anymore, at least as the rumor goes.
I got invited to my
True.
first TI by Bruno when he was, right after he joined Valve.
Maybe
And
he
I-
just lost the password to his regular Skype account.
Oh, yeah! And I was like, listen, Bruno, I'm not going to TI unless fucking Icefrog invites me. Sorry. And then one day later, he sent me a message and said, "All right, you can't come." And I said, "Just kidding. Please let me go." Icefrog won't talk to me, in fact. I've had Valve employees say, "Hey, Icefrog wanted me to ask you something." I was like, "Why won't Icefrog ask me?" And they go, just answer the question, all right?" Oh. So one day maybe. Anyway, we should move on.
I don't think he messages people anymore.
Yeah.
Whatever.
All right, well, so we're at like 55 minutes here, boys. We've
Whoa!
done. I know. I'm just saying.
Come on.
Just
Don't you guys want to talk about Facebook more?
Just letting you know.
Fuck no.
So I mean, what
All
else
right.
do you have on the docket, Slacks? What else is
right.
are you trying to let out?
No, we got a lot to talk about, boys. Okay, we have a lot to talk. I forgot what I was thinking of, but let me find it here. Drama, no drama. Something happened this week. Oh, right. What'd you guys think of that AWOLNATION video, huh? What do you think of that? Let's talk about that.
I didn't watch it. What are you talking about?
The music video for the popular band AWOLNATION for Dota 2, edited by Max of 2SD, 3-time winner of the short film contest for the International.
Didn't see the video.
New music pack by AWOLNATION coming out in the Dota. Didn't see it.
I mean, it's pretty cool. I mean, is there like a drama attached to this, or is there like, I mean,
there's no drama. I just think we should talk about what it's, you know, the marketing for Dota. I feel like it was a very strange project for Valve and Dota to get behind, to have a music video for a popular band come in, kind of taking a book out of League of Legends and shit. This was supposed to be our Imagine Dragons, you know, coming out and hyping us up. I don't know. It's interesting. Perhaps simply making a tutorial would be a good way to have people join the game. But
Dude,
we're gonna go with the
Have you gone to the
AWOLNATION.
Learn tab with the Elastic Trainer? There's 3 empty boxes that don't have words in them yet.
They're there.
I mean,
Something's coming.
well, so what was your big complaint with it, Slacks? Is it that you don't like the song? Is it that you don't like that it looks kind of cheesy?
Complaint.
Or like what's...
Complaint.
I don't
I got no
understand what the
complaint.
problem is.
There's no problem. I'm just saying, is this the best avenue to get hype about Dota?
Well, isn't that a little bit of what
actually-
marketing is about? Different things speak to different demographics, and you try different targeting marketing efforts towards different areas. You know, like isn't marketing a little bit a game of throwing educated darts and seeing what sticks?
I guess so, but I mean, I don't know.
I don't know.
How much did Valve pay AWOLNATION to do that? Probably a couple mil. Give me a couple mil. I'll get people interested in the game. Come on.
I mean,
Come on,
I don't know the numbers to which they paid to
$10
leverage
million?
his brand. I'm sure it was a shitload, but you know, so what? You miss all the shots you don't take, man. What are you telling me that Deadmau5 was the greatest way to promote Dota at the end of the TI when he rocked the house? Maybe not,
Listen,
but
I'm
I
just saying.
appreciate the
I
effort.
go on YouTube and all I see are League of Legends commercials based off these fucking shitty content people that have like some 8-year-old girl's voice, and she's like, "I like League of Legends, and this is my favorite, kawaii." I don't like that shit. All right, but at least they're trying. League of Legends, get the name out there. They're fucking pumping it. Come on, Valve, get some shitty ass fucking Witch Doctor sings a song ads out on the video. Don't make fucking AWOLNATION music videos.
Okay, so
we need commercials. We gotta grow.
So
okay?
correct me if I'm wrong, but what you're saying is we have a lot of really good organic content in the community that we
Yes.
could use to be marketing. Why are we wasting money on this kind of content that comes off as kind of cheese dick?
I guess so, yeah. We don't need fucking AWOLNATION coming
I'm
here.
confused.
And by the way,
was it actually funded by Valve?
it was on their blog. So I don't think AWOLNATION's just like, yo, we really love Dota and we want to make a music video with Max of 2SD. I don't think that just happened.
So it says here, this is in the video description, AWOLNATION's new album, Here Come the Runts, is out everywhere now. Listen to it here. You can also get the new AWOLNATION music pack in the Dota shop, which includes songs Run and Sail. So, yeah, I think Slacks is right. I mean, you don't get a music pack in Dota just by being like, I'm alive. I mean, that's
that doesn't mean Valve paid money to make this music video or whatever happened. This is like all part of the promotion. The guys probably play Dota. That's all that happened.
It's possible.
All right.
Maybe
I'm just
AWOLNATION
saying.
was like, guys, there's a sick SFM dude that I know. Let's make some ads. It's possible. Who knows?
Or what happened is they talked to the Valve people to get the music pack submitted, which you have to do to make sure you're doing things correctly. And then they were talking about a music video and maybe talk to a Valve person for recommendations, and a Valve person probably recommended Max 2SD or something. It was probably one like that. Or they're so interested in the Dota community that they had the idea and they contacted him privately. But I don't see why you guys are putting saying that Valve's responsible in spending money this way. It's
Yeah,
probably
well,
just
I'm
that
not
company
sure.
who's doing it.
I'm just
trying
saying
to
that this is
understand.
the only advertisement that we've seen for Dota that was like a community-oriented. Hey, look, check out Dota, isn't it neat to a brand, a broader
You don't think
audience.
like the Rick and
Why
Morty
isn't-
announcer pack is along those same lines? Why? Just because they didn't
yeah.
make a cheesy music video about it? I mean, that's exactly what that is. It's saying, hey, our community really likes you guys. There's some cross promotion here. You know, same thing as Samuel L. Jackson doing the announcer pack for Heroes of Newerth. It's just like
That one
Well,
is
that's
probably
what
paid for. That one is paid
Right.
for 100%.
Yes.
That was probably paid.
that was
But
100% paid for.
I'm just saying, Dota's a great game. Should have more fans. We should be expanding out there.
Okay,
Let's
but
get some
do you
cooler
want
projects.
to advertise the game of Dota 2 to an average viewer of games? Like, is the average player of games gonna want to come play Dota? Are they
I
gonna
hope
just
so.
download it and be like, this is too fucking hard and walk away? Like, I don't know. I'm not. Valve has always been very advertising hands off. I'm not sure what the right decision is, but maybe Valve doesn't advertise stuff. They just don't. It's all like word of mouth and stuff. They just focus on making the game better, and then maybe they move on to other stuff or I don't know. I don't know how they function as a business.
I mean,
I'm a man
should they
who's
advertise
passionate
Red
about
Bull,
this game.
as
I
Cyborg
wanna
Matt is
spread it.
saying, Red Bull has some sort of hand in it because it's on the Red Bull YouTube. Like the official
Oh,
video is
okay.
on the official like checkmarked Red Bull Records YouTube channel. So
Okay.
I think it's somehow Red Bull is in the mix of responsibility for creating this.
Well then, I've stopped caring completely. Okay.
Yeah,
It's not
it's
even
just-
something to talk about then.
Well,
because
I
who
mean,
cares?
I don't see it as a terrible thing or an amazing thing. It's just it's a thing. It's cool that there's like a new different announcer pack. And I liked the Dead Mouse music pack. I bought it. I don't know. It's cool. It's whatever. If you don't like it, that's cool too. Like what you said there, Slacks, is, well, I want to see cool marketing. Well, some people would call this cool marketing. Cool is as subjective as it gets, man.
Oh.
I mean, like Valve shouts it out because it's a cool, popular
'Cause it's
band or
cool.
whatever. I don't know them making a video, and then now all these Dota 2 players, which there's a shitload of them, will now be like, "Hey, this band exists. Maybe I should check them out." Like, it's just smart policy on both ends.
Okay.
It's just
fine.
it's a cross collab on YouTube. If you've ever seen one of those, you go in a video, you make a video with someone else,
Oh.
and their viewers check out your shit, and
Oh.
your viewers check out theirs. That's all it is.
Fuck. All right, I'll be real. This whole conversation was just for me to buy time to think about what I actually want to talk about because I forgot. We've done it. Guys, the new update system. Every 2 weeks. Let's hit it up. What are your thoughts on this? Icefrog is
Oh.
going in 2-week updates, boys.
Okay.
The in-game changes are amazing. The exclamation points when somebody picks a hero that got a change, I think that's great. The
Oh, yeah.
Ags icon in the picking window, I think that's wonderful too. It's all very good for people that are more casual or that haven't played very much yet. I think that's great. I don't know. We'll see if maybe every 2 weeks will feel too often, but every change is so small. Maybe it won't matter.
Interesting.
We'll see.
I think spring cleaning was probably the best update that we've had in like a year. I'll say
Yeah.
that. Some really cool stuff coming out there. Sorry.
It's very good for new players.
I think
Mhm.
this new system has potential to be amazing, but I'm scared to lose the effect of that big drop because I feel like there have been times in the past where Dota feels a little stale. Like I remember the sniper troll meta distinctively. Like that was a really dark time where pubs were just not fun, right? The game was very one-dimensional. It felt like very deathball-y. Let's just hit critical mass and then run down mid. And right after that, they dropped that huge patch that completely changed. Was it 7.0? Like it felt like a new
No,
game.
you're way
almost.
off. You just went from 6.83 to
Yeah.
7.
All right.
That
I'm
was-
bad with the numbers, but what was the last 6
Yeah,
patch
okay.
that came out before it rolled to
It's like
7?
I think it was like 688 or
88,
or
okay.
689
So-
maybe, because remember it ticked over to 6.9 and then it rolled all the way to
But
7.
there were a
Remember that?
couple before 7 that were really big game changers, right? And that's the point that I'm getting at. Those huge patches, it gives you a reason. You're like relearning the game. You get that. It's almost like a new World of Warcraft expansion when that happens. However, it can also be overwhelming. I remember being at Dota Pit and like interviewing players, being like, "So, what do you think about this?" And they're like, "I have no opinion because it's confusing and we're focusing on other shit. What do you think of Meteor Hammer? I don't know. I haven't had a chance to play it in my pubs yet." You know, there's a point where it is just literally too much information to digest, and it makes those games almost feel like throwaway games where
Yeah.
players are just trying shit because they literally haven't had a chance to try it in pubs yet.
You know, one thing I'd say about that is I kind of agree with what you just said about Meteor Hammer. It made me think of talent trees. Normally I have this like fairly like very detailed knowledge of like all the skill points, the scaling and shit. there are talents that I will find. I'll click on a hero and look at their talent tree and be like, I don't remember half of these being here. Where like I'll read it once in the patch notes, then I won't happen to play that hero in the next like couple months, and they're like I just forget about talent trees. And I feel like talent trees alone have added so much variation in hero builds and stuff that there's so many new things that can be developed. So I think they alone require more time between each patches for people to kind of develop stuff. I think the small patch thing is not a bad idea.
I think it's good for the stability of the season. You know, like in the past, it has always been, hey, I wonder if a patch is going to come out before our tournament and throw everything upside down. Now there's a little bit, like think about Overwatch League, right? They're not playing on the live patch. They have planned like, okay, this bulk is going to be on this patch, then we're going to migrate. There's consistency there. And fault Overwatch League for many things, if you will, but I think that is a good thing of not just dropping a patch in the middle of the season and saying, all right, well, have fun in this second set of games where things are completely different. And that's sort of what our seasons have been like up until now. Patches just come whenever Valve wants to. You don't think that? I mean...
Okay, so here's the thing with patches, right? It's twofold. Both of them have a positive and negative. Number one, a lot of people get intimidated by Dota and they quit. They think it's too hard. But when that new patch comes out and their old favorite hero just got buffed again and they can finally play it, they return to the game. So that's a huge benefit with those big block patches because it builds hype. And if you look at the big block patches, a huge amount of players surge a month after that big patch, then they start to dwindle again. Whereas in this new system, I don't think that there's too many benefits. You're only like contacting the people that are still playing. Nobody's getting back into the game, and no one's gonna quit because fucking Troll moves 0.5% slower. So I don't know.
I think basically to bring up what Andrew said about Troll Sniper, the reason that patch sucked was because those were by far the best heroes. So everybody picked them every fucking game. And right before the 7.0, no, the most recent patch where they added talent trees. Right before that one, and what was it, the stat differences? Pugna was like the most OP hero. He's being played off lane every game, and all of a sudden Pugna Necro go away, right? You need to make sure that the game doesn't get stagnant enough where everybody really discovers and every pub player knows what the 2 to 3 OP heroes are, and they have to deal with that for weeks. Like you need to shave that part off, only let it happen for a little bit, and then adjust everything a little bit. That way, people, because I think that's where people get really sick of Dota, is when they feel like they understand the current meta and they just get frustrated because they have to keep playing against the same annoying things. It's like easy to play Dota and complain about the OP heroes rather than play Dota and be like, man, I just really love learning how to play Elder Titan better. All you think about is like, fuck Tinker. That's what everybody says, you know? Yeah. What are the OP heroes? Hate against them. And they just need to decrease the amount of time where that is the mentality. Because as we've been playing Dota for fucking 8 years or whatever, you just get sick of the OP stuff faster and you only focus on the negativity. And I think that's why the Dota 2 community is generally pretty negative in the last year.
But isn't that what makes it cool, though? Remember Ad Venom in Boston? They were really good with a certain amount of heroes that they discovered, and that patch was for a really long time. They got very good with Bounty Hunter. They made the meta, and they won the big tournament. And then a big patch dropped after the tournament that destroyed the entire team.
It's cool to see that change,
that moment, it was hype. Right?
But it doesn't always like change. Like, yes, we could take Sniper Troll and leave them in for months and watch the game slowly change. Like, it's cool to talk about Brood War and be like, hey, this was the style that everybody did, and all of a sudden somebody came out of nowhere and finally invented something that actually worked. That's really cool to tell stories about. But the period between my first anecdote and my second, there was probably a lot of anger in there. It made people not want to play Brood War. That's what I'm saying. Like, you gotta worry about that part in the middle. It's great to talk about, but that's how you lose players that say, you know what, I'm sick of losing and having to play against Troll and Sniper every game because it forces me to do X, Y, Z. Therefore, I'm just going to go play another game because I'm not having fun anymore. I think that's what Valve is trying to do by having faster patches. As long as they do it like every 3 weeks, I think I'm cool with it.
And I think this is one of those deals, as always, the devil is in the details of execution. Conceptually, this could be real. I think this has a lot of potential. It's all about how it's executed. And who's to say they can't still make big changes? You know, I see what you're saying, Slacks, about no one cares if Troll gets a little micro nerf, but I don't know if they ever guaranteed that there wouldn't be big changes. Like, are we sure that every 2 weeks there's never going to be another hero removed from captain's mode or added between now and TI? I don't know. I don't think that's guaranteed. You know, maybe we'll see Willow in the pool before TI. We could still see changes that kind of drastically affect how stuff goes, even though they're being tweaked slowly over time instead of it being a bombshell.
I'm just looking at it from the team's perspective, right? Let's say you're a pro team. You've been practicing on like fucking Lycan for 2 weeks, just grinding it out. Oh, this hero's so good. Oh, we're going to win this tournament. Then the tournament starts on Friday, Thursday. Lycan decreased movement speed to 2, slower than CM. Like, and then
But
you're
they're
fucked.
not going to nerf that strong with these fast patches. That's the thing.
Well, but
They're
you
gonna
know,
still let this
right,
like meta
Slacks?
develop.
Isn't
but
that part of it? Is at least knowing the timing in which it comes out that gets rid of some of the mystery? I think is the problem. The idea that hey, we know Valve's probably going to throw out a big patch at some point. It's been a while since they've done it, but when, where, what, how, or why? I don't really know. We'll just wait and see when the blog comes out. This at least.
But they usually knew it was after big tournaments, though. So they knew that the strategies that they've been practicing would get them through the major. And then at the end of the major, boom. And now they don't know. I mean,
I don't know why Valve would
happen.
still not be sensitive to that. Even though I think there are situations where they can drop big changes. I think you can still be cautious of what is the major minor schedule as we make these bigger changes compared to, maybe 1 week it is just more of a spring cleaning patch compared to the next week when there's a whole 2-week gap.
You're right. I've been defeated. That makes a lot of sense. Very good.
I have maybe I'm an optimist, man, but I have some faith. I don't know. I think Valve usually does pretty well with these kind of things when they lay out an idea and then say, yeah, and then trust us to fill in some of the details. I think generally speaking, they do a good job with that stuff.
I am very excited, by the way, as someone who does fails of the week, and we very infrequently make our target of once a week. Oh, this is Valve we're talking about, baby.
Yeah,
we'll see you in 2 weeks. 3 months later, oh boy, here we go. Oh man, if Valve can get over their time issues and actually have these come out every 2 weeks and stop that stipulation, whoo!
It's true.
We also might get situations where a hero gets overbuffed based on limited data. I'm kind of worried about that as well, but
that's an interesting.
We'll see.
It's possible, definitely.
It's the benefit of having lots of heroes and lots of time between patches is that people do have time to eventually find what's really OP and finding a way to exploit it, because it's not just the hero, it's also their itemization, it's their skill builds, their talent trees. It's all those together.
And sometimes it's timings built in with all that too.
Yeah, could be based on the meta, stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, boys, so
yeah, that might be it.
I think we're nearing the end here, guys. That ended up being pretty all right. 3 guys on What the Duck. This was a first, and
no poop stories.
I'd maybe do it again. Well, Suns fan isn't here, so I don't.
You guys want to talk about how much we love Haagen-Dazs for 10 minutes?
No more.
No, it's that meme dead.
More.
Okay.
Is there really nothing else to cover? Some CIS drama? I stay out of CIS drama, dude. I don't need to be fucking killed by the mafia. I'm good. You guys gonna...
Okay.
Just kidding. I'm just... Am I the only one?
Oh. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with you, though. I'm not up on the absolute latest. I've been... Dude, I am casting CIS tomorrow for DAC qualifiers. That'll be fun. I'll get to jump headfirst into the region. In that qualifier, there are 2 teams that are primarily Kazakhstan, or players from Kazakhstan. I don't know what the...
Next KZ?
Yeah. Well, there's another one, too. I forget the name off the top of my head, but I didn't realize that Dota was so popular in Kazakhstan.
Dude, do you remember that TI qualifiers where Next KZ, there was always this team called Next KZ. It's like a Kazakhstan team. They always had leg issues in Dota 1, and they moved over to Dota 2, and they went through this like qualifier for EU, and they shit stomped like everybody, and then they got to the finals, and they got shit stomped by like Cinderen's team, and Cinderen went to TI. It was like one TI qualifiers like that. I remember that, and I felt so bad because I was like, these guys play on like awful ping all the time. They're dumpstering everybody, and then they got to the finals, and Cinderen, I think it was Cinderen's, maybe some other team like that, came from lower bracket and beat them.
Wow.
In the grand finals of the qualifier, and they ended up not making it. And ever since then, I don't think I've seen their players. They like reformed once after that, and then disappeared.
So there is one called Team Kazakhstan, which might be sort of a incarnation of that Next KZ. I think Next was actually a sponsor. I forget what Next was for, but it was some sort of maybe antivirus software.
Dude, I wouldn't even know that. This is like fucking so old that like people would have teams and orgs, and there wasn't actually any money or anything.
It was just
so I won't even make an assumption. Like this was like Dota 1 days, like 2011. Like I doubt, like nobody gave money then. Nobody had money.
But the other one is Team Invincible, and right now one of their players is Wadafaka, if you remember that guy. Watafaka. Wadafaka. I remember casting him
awesome.
way back, the old Star Ladder days. But I digress. I guess that wraps up this episode, guys. This will be on what?
No story?
Do you have a story?
Anybody got a story? Purge, you got a story?
Nothing I can
Trent
say.
told a doozy of a story because he couldn't be here today on the Zyori podcast that I'll give the TLDR because you can appreciate it.
Sure.
So he's on an airplane, seatbelt sign goes off, he goes to the bathroom, he's in there taking care of business. Turns out the door is bent, so the lock is slid like the door is locked, but it's not actually in the little latch. The door opens. It is the girl sitting next to him on the plane.
Oh my god!
And she sees him full frontal. I mean, you're in an airplane bathroom. You don't think anyone's. Oh, it's pretty ironclad. You know, like lights on, all that kind of shit. So he said he goes back to his seat and he's like can't help but laugh about it. And he said she had face covered, like couldn't even make eye contact with him. And it was an international flight. We're talking like 10 hours.
How many hours into the flight was this? Was it like the first
I'm not
hour?
sure. I think relatively close to the beginning though. And he said it was
That's
also
so
like of
funny.
all the people to open the door, he said, you know, she went to the other, they got up at the same time. She went to the other end of the plane. He said it must have been full or something. So she walked all the way back down and yeah, dude. Of all, you know, if it's
Wow.
someone else on the plane, you're embarrassed, but whatever. The person you got to fucking sit next to, you got to eat dinner next to this person. Oh, that's only Trent. Poor Trent.
Wow.
So
That is probably the most awkward, accidental, nobody's fault thing, other than like puking on somebody sitting next to you or something.
well, I said the flight
That's
attendant. I mean, at that
amazing.
point, they should know. Like, guys, this thing is messed up. Put a fucking sign on it. You know, pull the door tight or something. I mean, that's. But he also made the point. He's like, who's trying the lock if it says, you know, occupied on an airplane?
Well, maybe.
Did it say occupied?
Huh?
Did it say occupied?
Yeah,
Is it
because
the
it's one of
left or
those
supposed-
things where like the door is plastic and it was kind of bowed in the middle. So the door was shut and the thing was pushed. So the light comes on, the door goes as red, but then if you try to pull it open, it's not actually latched. You know, if you can
Okay.
picture like a porta potty, you know how sometimes the doors get a little bent, kind of like that.
So adds more shame to her because then she knows she fucked up real bad.
I think so. That might have been the second level. And of course it's Trent and he's super nice and just like, I'm sorry, but it wasn't really my fault. And she can't even, oh my.
Did he actually apologize to her?
Oh yes.
Apologize.
How do you not?
Why would you? Listen, don't ever apologize. He
Don't
should
you
have
just-
gone big. He should have been like,
Don't
you
you just
like
go to the
it?
back of the plane and you
know?
pull the emergency door and just jump out? I'm pretty sure that's the right move.
Bye, guys. I gotta go.
Oh Jesus.
Wow. I got kind of a. Nah, I probably shouldn't tell this story. It's not a very social justice story. We probably shouldn't tell it on here.
Okay.
But, all right. If you're a sensitive boy, turn it off. All right. But so I was in Southeast Asia. I was at Genting at the MSI booth, and my ass got grabbed again. But it's not a big deal because something about Southeast Asia that you'll learn is just sometimes dudes grab your ass, and it's just like it happens. It's not like a Me Too situation. They're just big fans, and over there, you get your ass grabbed a few times. It happened to the players when they were in Manila. They would walk through the crowd. A couple people, grabbing that EE ass. He came up to me and he's like, 4 dudes just grabbed my ass. And I'm like, it happened. That's life in Southeast Asia. Don't worry about it. It's like a handshake over here. It's not a big deal. Anyway, so I go home and I'm on the Twitter and my wife is there. And I open up a direct message. And she's sitting there on the little seat next to me, and I start reading it, and the guy says, hey, can you help me fill this out? And I'm reading it, and he just posts his contact information. And and he was like his phone book. He was like, hitting on me a little, and he said, I grabbed your ass, and I was like, neat. And my wife's there, and she reads it, and she types in, he has a wife, or I have a wife, and then he said, but I can be your daddy. And I was laughing my ass off. I thought it was hilarious. She got super concerned, and we had to have like this wife-husband talk. And she's like, listen, when you're out on events, sometimes people will message you on Steam and they'll say, hey, let's go kick some dicks, or it's time to fuck some kids. And she's like, listen, what's going on here? Are you a homosexual? And I'm like, no, sweetie, no. This is just shit that we said. And she's like, well, I always hear you play Dota and you're like, fuck him, suck my dick. And I'm like, no, sweetie, no, I'm not. Everything's fine. And it's so hard to talk to her because she doesn't understand video games. And she was like, when you're in a game, you're like, suck my dick. And then it's like, she's just hearing this in the other room, like, what's going on? So we had to have this talk. And she's like, from now on, I only want you to say insults that are like,
not homophobic.
not homosexual. She's like, when you're fighting somebody, I want you to say, I'm gonna fuck your vagina. And I'm like, that's really weird. I'm not gonna say that. That's super weird. And then I started thinking about it. And isn't that strange? That I'm more uncomfortable being like, I'm gonna have intercourse with a woman than being like, you're gonna get fucked, boy. Like, isn't that weird?
Because it's not about it making sense for you. It's about typical norms, and because it's like a social thing, right? Everybody says X thing, therefore it's weird for you to say Y thing, regardless of whether or not it applies to you.
But
correctly.
she was like, no, you could get like really like intense and violent with it and stuff, and you could be like, yeah, I'm gonna like fucking rape your girlfriend. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, babe? Don't say
No,
that.
that's
You
not okay.
crazy? Like, that's not okay. But she thought that was like better than saying it was really.
She's knee-jerk
really
reacting a little bit here.
Wow.
She's like, woo. So isn't that strange, guys? I don't know. It really makes you think. But yeah.
It's a lesson in perspective, though, right? Because to us, we read that Twitch chat shit and it just bounces off. You know, we're like, oh, that's funny. He said, "Suck my dick." Oh, I know he doesn't mean it. It's kind of offensive, but and if you don't really quite get the context and you start thinking about it and you start listening, you're like, there's a lot of dudes that follow Jake, huh? There's a lot of what's with all this dick talk all of a sudden? Why is it? You know. Do other guys talk about their dicks like this? Like, I can see the wheels turning of trying to piece it together and just like, is this the worst case scenario that I'm picturing here? You know, I've been there where you need that reality check where you're like, this is probably not real, but I'm an idiot if I don't at least check and make sure he's not actually talking about dicks.
Yeah, but I don't know. She's the sweetest. She doesn't really know a lot about the internet. One day she came up to me, and this is a real quote, and she said, "Look, baby, someone made a meme about President Trump. Look." I'm like, what the fuck? And she had like a printed out piece of paper, and she's like, "Look, sweetie, someone made a meme." I'm like, "Oh, that's great, honey. Great job." Wow, that's nice.
Wow.
Anyway.
I could tangent from that story. I think you've told that one before, actually. I saw this retweet the other day. Do you guys know who Flight of the Conchords is?
Oh, yeah. The New Zealand comedic guys, right?
Yeah. I saw a retweet from Jermaine once recently, like in the last week, and it was a screenshot from the show, and he was saying like Flight of the Conchords created memes or something because it showed like the New Zealand ones. It would be like, it was like memes about New Zealand basically. Do you remember? That was on season 1. I was in college then. It was probably like what, 2007 or something. I mean, memes existed or whatever, but it was like the image of something with like white text, and it like blew my mind that that was. Thinking about it now, I don't know if that's accurate or not, but it was like one of the first times that I'd seen text-based memes on an image.
Yeah.
And it was Flight of the Conchords,
Classic
the TV
meme.
show, but it was printed on like literally poster board to be visually make sense.
Physical memes?
Yeah, but that was like, I don't know, maybe the first that I thought about it.
Wow.
From the past.
Wow.
I don't know.
Anyway.
Maybe it was the first. I'm not sure. But I found it a mind-moving retweet.
That's pretty cool.
That's all I'm gonna say.
As the end of the story, be careful what you say out there, especially if you have people that live with you and stuff, because what you say, what you think is cool, might not be cool. Really think about it. Social justice, everybody. Social justice. Think about it.
And I still, to this day, would love to know what your neighbors think, because I know they can hear through those walls, my friend.
That's right. Didn't you come to pick me up one day and you were out on the street and you could hear everything?
You were recording some sort of video entry. It was a song. It was like 4 minutes long, and I pulled up, get out of the car, you're walking up. As soon as I got to the steps, I heard music, and when I got to the top, it was like the window was open and you were yelling at me. It was that loud. And it was just like the end of Captain's Draft. It was actually just like that. That level of screeching and just ridiculousness. I'm like, I'm outside through a full wall and a door. What do your neighbors think? This is 11 o'clock on a Wednesday.
I gotta admit, you knocked on the door, and then I just got up and went into my bedroom and sat on my bed because I thought you were my neighbor. I forgot you were coming over. And I was like, oh no, maybe he won't think I'm home if I don't answer the door. And then you called me. You're like, oh, I know you're there.
That's so
I was like, oh no,
funny.
hide.
You didn't come to the door. I remember calling you, and that was the reason. Oh God, they're finally here to come get me.
I went to my bed like an 8-year-old. I like went in my bed and laid down. And I was like, oh, maybe they'll go away.
Did you save the recording at least, or did you just like stop everything you did?
Yeah, I forget what I was singing, but it was some kind of song. I don't remember. There's a lot of songs unlisted on my YouTube. Sometimes I record shit and I edit it, and then I wake up the next day and watch it, and I'm like, oh fuck. And then bro, I watching like some kind of Moana parody one time with techies, and I watched that shit, and I watched it for 5 seconds. I was like, oh, cringe, and I just deleted it. I spent like 12 hours editing it the day before. I was like, fuck this. I ever tell you guys about DJ Whipples? Oh boy.
No.
Guys, wasn't this podcast supposed to end like 30 minutes ago?
Sorry, you want to be done? All right,
How's this? Okay, go ahead.
Very
this is the last
short.
story.
All right, fine.
Very short. I spent like 3 hours on this alternate identity called DJ Whipples, and he was like a 60-year-old man, and I would just do rap songs about Dota, and he'd come on and be like, I'm DJ Whipples, but my real name is Franklin Bacon. I'm 48 years old, and I have a daughter named Samantha, and she taught me Dota 2, so I'd like to sing a rap song. Split her in the throat and fuck the whore, and it's just like super violent, like fuck Charlie, fuck Captain, fuck LD, and then it just goes on, and then he ends and he's like, and that was my song. I'm DJ Whipples. I made like 8 of these, and then I listened to them, and they're all like super vulgar and fucked up, and I just deleted them all. It was like I spent 3 days making DJ Whipples mixtapes.
With players in the game? Like, did you do this in game?
No, I did it like
in your
just
room,
like music, and I would like sing it over, in game shit, and it was just like shit talking personalities and stuff, and be like, one of the lines was like, why would I listen to Capitalist Cast when I can just picture him licking his own ass and shit like that, and it just like went on and on about everybody in Dota, and then I was like, this is like the end of my career. If I release DJ Whipples, I'm never going to TI, and I fucking just got rid of all of it. It was real bad.
DJ fucking Whipples. Wow.
I was gonna have a Twitter and everything, and I was gonna shit talk myself a lot so I could throw people off about DJ Whipples, like not actually give up my real identity. But yeah. Purge, you never made anything where you watched it day 2 and you're like, fuck this.
I don't review my videos after I make it, but I did Purgecast a pub sometimes where I'd watch a pub game, and if the game is just boring or the players are not bad enough, then it's just like the players are bad, the action is bad, and I would just like be like, all right, this game fucking sucks, this video's not working, I'd turn it off. I did that a few times for those videos, but very rarely for other stuff.
Your content is a little less polarizing than see that's the secret to the Slacks madness. You got to know how far is too far, right? You got to give it a little buffer period before you hit that post.
DJ
Whipples. Those games are like that too, though, because like if the game is boring, you have to make fun of them more to make it more interesting, and then at some point it's just like too far and not interesting, and the game sucks. So yeah, I don't do that very often.
Yeah. All right, boys. Well, darn tootin'. That was a great way to round the Slacks. Thank you. Now I'm gonna be fantasizing about DJ Whipples and his fine rhymes. My God, maybe that'll be a stretch goal in the future. The return of DJ Whipples.
I can't do it. It's the end of me, please. It's not a good idea. Okay?
Oh my. Well, folks, this is another What the Duck in the books. So we'll have another one of these sometime in the future, 2, 3, 4 weeks, something like that. We've got more DAC qualifiers coming, and then we are going to be heading up to Bucharest for the Bucharest Major, and really not too long. That's just a couple of weeks away now. So a lot to look forward to. This podcast will be on YouTube, the Moonduck YouTube, as well as the audio only on moonduck.tv/podcast. So you can find it there. But until next time, boys and girls, we're out of here.
Bye.